My girlfriend made 37 controlling rules for our relationship and told me to leave if I didn't like them. So I packed everything I owned, walked out, and watched her entire life collapse, while she came back crying and begging me to return. I, 29M, just moved out of the apartment I had been sharing with my girlfriend Celia, who was 31. I took everything that belonged to me. Turns out that was pretty much everything. We had been together for 4 years, living together for the last 2. First, everything was great. But then came the rules. It started off small. No shoes past the entryway, which seemed reasonable, and washing dishes immediately after eating to foster good habits. But it quickly spiraled. By the end of our 2nd year of living together, I had a literal printed list of 37 rules taped to the fridge. Some of the real standouts included no friends over after 8 p.m. on weekdays, needing pre-approval for any purchase over $20, and mandatory couple time from 7 to 9 p.m. daily, where we had to put away our phones and the TV, just us connecting. Then, there was a specific shower schedule, her in the morning, me in the evening. No eating in any room except the kitchen, and weekly relationship check-ins with written feedback. I had to do laundry her way, fold it how she wanted, and put away immediately. It was a lot, but I just went along with it to keep the peace. She always framed it as respect for our shared space and developing good habits, but she broke her own rules all the time. For instance, her friend Jade would stay over past 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. But that was different. She bought a $200 purse without asking to. I figured I didn't need permission for personal items. But the kicker? I was covering about 75% of everything: rent, utilities, groceries. Celia worked as a social media consultant, managing 3 small business Instagram accounts, and bringing in around $1,200 a month. My IT job paid for everything else. Yet, somehow, I still needed her approval to buy a $25 game on Steam. Then 3 days ago, the explosion happened. I bought pizza on my way home without realizing we were out of her approved dinner ingredients. I was exhausted and just wanted something quick, so I grabbed a large pepperoni. Apparently, that was a huge mistake. I was told I should have checked the meal plan. It was just pizza. I was starving. Celia snapped at me, saying it was about respect and that the plan said Tuesday was salmon. I reminded her we didn't have salmon because she was supposed to shop on Monday. I had worked late that day while she was home all day. That was the wrong thing to say. She flipped out, screaming about my lack of commitment to our systems, saying I was undermining her efforts to create structure, essentially sabotaging our future. Then she said the magic words. If I didn't like her rules, I could leave. Something just clicked in me. After years of tiptoeing around, following arbitrary rules that only seemed to apply to me, and needing permission to live in my own home, I was done. So I left. She laughed this condescending laugh, saying I wouldn't last a week without her organizing my life. I didn't argue, I just went to bed. The next morning, she left for her usual yoga brunch routine. I took the day off work, rented a U-Haul, and started packing. Here's a quick rundown of what I took. All the furniture, which I had purchased, my TV and game systems, electronics, and kitchen appliances, except for her Vitamix. I took all the bedding and towels that I had bought, changed all my streaming passwords first, and removed my name from the month-to-month lease, thankfully. I canceled every subscription and her supplementary credit cards, plus sent a utilities cancellation notice for the end of the month. The only things I left her were her clothes, personal items, that beloved Vitamix, and the printed list of household guidelines that I had stuck on the fridge. She had requested it. By around 4 p.m., my phone started blowing up, 63 texts, 29 calls, and voicemails getting more frantic. Is this a joke? Where's the TV? The power is going to be shut off. This isn't funny. You can't just leave like this. Come back. This is theft. I have rights. It became a barrage of panic. I was crashing at my buddy Tomas's place, enjoying a beer, watching Netflix on my TV, and eating takeout straight from the container like a true savage. No meal plans, no couple time, just peace. She wanted me to follow her rules or leave. Well, I left. And guess what? When you issue ultimatums, some people might actually take them seriously. Update 1. The entitlement she showed was pretty eye-opening. On day 2, she showed up at my work. Security caught her on camera having a total meltdown in the lobby when they wouldn't let her upstairs without an appointment. Apparently, she yelled, "I'm Celia's boyfriend," as if that would override security policies. She then pivoted to texting me, trying to talk it out like adults. I reminded her she told me to leave, so I did. "But you don't just abandon someone over one fight," she complained. I countered, saying this wasn't just one fight, it was 37 rules and 2 years of double standards. Then came the discussion about finances. Celia had gotten used to a certain lifestyle: weekly yoga classes, regular gourmet meals, and an organic grocery habit that easily ran $600 a month. All on the credit cards I paid off every month. Turns out she couldn't afford the apartment alone. The landlord told her she wasn't on the lease and needed money for groceries. She called it financial abuse and demanded I support her. I couldn't help but think she was delusional. That day I also got calls from her mom, sister, and best friend Isla, all expressing how devastated Celia was and how I took away her stability. My response to all of them? She told me to leave. So I did. But here's the real kicker. Isla let slip that Celia had been bragging for months about how she had me trained and how her relationship system was revolutionary. She even planned to start a coaching business called From Chaos to Control and saw me as her success story. Now that plan was in shambles because the lab rat escaped. Day 3 brought legal threats. She sent me a formal demand for $6,000 for 3 months of transition support, return of shared property, and even compensation for emotional damages. I forwarded it to my cousin, who's a paralegal. He found it hilarious, saying it looked like she Googled how to sue an ex and copy-pasted the first result. Then there was the juicy gossip from Tomas, whose girlfriend worked at the same yoga studio. Apparently, Celia had been telling everyone she was planning to upgrade to a more successful partner once her coaching business took off. So much for being heartbroken over losing the love of her life. I started looking at apartments the next day, 1-bedrooms where I wouldn't have to deal with any rules taped on refrigerators or pre-approvals for pizza. Update 2, her desperation was real. She showed up at Tomas's place late on a Sunday night with a box of my stuff, trying to play the noble card by returning my belongings, but clearly trying to get inside. When Tomas didn't let her in, she bizarrely tried to claim he was holding me captive. Luckily, he just told her that I was at the gym. The real entertainment began on Monday. Celia decided to launch her coaching business, with me as the unwitting case study, posting a series titled, "When You've Given Too Much, Recognizing Emotional Manipulation." In her version, I was chronically unemployed, despite having the same job for 5 years, and she claimed I refused to help out around the house. She painted me as the villain, who abandoned her after setting healthy boundaries with her 37 rules. People initially supported her, but then they noticed her tagged locations at expensive restaurants and vacation spots, all funded by me. The narrative began to unravel. Then, I found a perfect apartment and put down a deposit. I texted her that I'd be getting my remaining things on Friday and needed her out. Her response was sheer entitlement. "You don't get to tell me when to be in my home." I reminded her that she wasn't on the lease, and she couldn't just decide I couldn't come back. She tried calling the landlord, who had to explain that living somewhere doesn't automatically make you a tenant without paperwork. The next day turned into a negotiation where she suddenly wanted to reinstate our relationship and promised to change her ways. But I passed. Then she sent desperate photos of herself, with a message about what I was giving up. I replied with a picture of my new apartment key. Friday came and I showed up with Tomas and another buddy. The state of the apartment was shocking. Celia had let things go. Dishes piled up, trash overflowing, and laundry everywhere. The woman who demanded a spotless environment had been living in squalor because she literally didn't know how to maintain a space on her own. She was sitting on the floor surrounded by job applications for positions she wasn't qualified for and loan applications that were going nowhere. She claimed I ruined her life and I replied, "You told me to leave. I left." She tried to negotiate one last time, claiming she could change the rules, but I said it wasn't really about the rules. It was about the fact that she thought she had the right to dictate them. The last image I saw was her standing by the doorway holding that laminated list of rules, utterly baffled that her system had failed. Final update. This is how it all wrapped up. The landlord eventually kicked her out. She couldn't even pass the credit check to take over the lease. She tried to squat, but Mr. Peterson had to get the sheriff involved. Took 2 weeks, but she was officially out. Where'd she end up? Back at her parents' house at 31. But she wasn't finished with me. Not yet. She served me with a lawsuit for unlawful eviction, theft, financial abandonment, and emotional distress for a total of $15,000. I hired a lawyer, not out of fear, but because I wanted it all settled. The court date? Last Tuesday. She showed up with her dad and a heap of printed documents, including our text conversations and her household guidelines, claiming she maintained the household and had contributed to it in other ways. The judge wasn't impressed and asked if she was even on a lease. She wasn't. He noted that she had her own income and wasn't financially dependent on me. The emotional distress question? The judge asked how my compliance with her ultimatum caused her distress. My lawyer brought in her own Instagram posts where she discussed her revolutionary relationship system and her plans to move on from me. The judge asked if she had intended to end our relationship anyway, and she was left stammering. The verdict? Case dismissed. All claims thrown out, and she owes me $500 for my legal fees. But wait, there's more. She attempted to launch her coaching business, creating a website and a $299 course on relationship architecture. But she sold exactly 0 copies. Turns out, nobody wants life advice from a 31-year-old who lives with her parents and sued her ex. Her Instagram following dropped from 2,000 to about 300. The yoga studio suggested she find another place to work because she was too dramatic. The businesses she managed on social media dropped her. One hired me to fix their website. I heard she's still at her parents' house, working part-time at a vitamin shop and dating some guy from her gym, who apparently loves how organized she is. She still posts about toxic exes and knowing one's worth, and guess what? She still has that laminated list of rules. I'm living my best life now. My apartment feels lived in, and I even eat pizza in bed sometimes. I can invite friends over whenever I like, and I bought a PS5 without even asking for permission. I'm dating someone who believes that rules in a relationship should be about kindness and open communication, not about folding fitted sheets perfectly. It's funny how ultimatums work. When you tell someone to do something or leave, you have to be prepared for them to actually walk out. And when they do, it's not cool to cry about it. She was right about one thing, though. I wouldn't last a week without her organizing my life. It's been a month, and honestly, it's been fantastic. For everyone who thinks I was too harsh, remember, she told me to leave. I did. Actions have consequences. And to anyone going through something similar, your peace of mind is worth so much more than someone else's rules. And Celia, if you're reading this, hi. I know you still keep an eye on my social. Thanks for the push. Leaving was the absolute best thing you ever told me to do.